It's 7 a.m. and I'm already drenched in sweat. Hey guys, it's Carl, and this is not a green screen. It's probably one of the most beautiful filming locations. I'm here in Vietnam with VinFast, a new EV electric vehicle company that's coming to market in North America, both in Canada and the US by the end of this year. And I'm actually one of the first to drive their new VF8 mid-size SUV. Here are my thoughts. I'm gonna keep it brief and short because I'm sweating a lot. This is the hottest I've ever been for a video. Lowdown on VinFast. They're part of an umbrella group under Vin Group, who owns quite a few things here in Vietnam. One of these resorts, the Vin Pearl, they're scattered around the country, just to be one of them. They are 5 to 6 star resorts. Think of the Caribbean mixed with Disneyland, except in Southeast Asia. These places are beautiful, the food is great, the amenities are awesome. That's just one part. They've also created large residential complexes called Vin Homes. They're areas outside of busy city centers, for example, in Hanoi. If anyone has been there, it is so crowded. The population density is so high. They're moving people outside of the city to help alleviate that pressure, to reduce transportation, to reduce the amount of traffic, to be honest. Very impressive stuff. Even their universities, Vin University, I wish I had a campus that looked like that when I was in school. And even bringing it back to VinFast, their production facilities, which I think is one of the biggest cruxes in EVs right now. So if you take a look at Rivian, if you look at Lucid, the biggest problem is they cannot manufacture vehicles quick enough. They cannot get them fast enough to consumers. So you may have placed an order 2-3 years ago and you are still waiting for a vehicle, and that waiting list just kind of keeps on growing. And all of this infrastructure 2-3 years ago did not exist. So I actually used to backpack Vietnam, where I did 4 years ago. None of this stuff, including the resorts, including the production for vehicles, none of that was here. So the speed at which they have built this, and they're actually bringing production facilities to the US. They're building a new complex in North Carolina, 1,700 jobs, $4 billion in investments. And in my time, even looking at, say, Apple Park, Apple Campus, I haven't seen the scale of production in this time frame pop up this quickly. So I know it's super exciting stuff. And if you haven't learned about VinFast before, they're approaching it slightly differently. They're based around a subscription model service on the battery. So you are essentially renting out the battery pack in the car. And typically when people think of a battery subscription or just a subscription in general, you are paying your monthly fee for Amazon Prime, for Netflix, for iCloud. Think of that, except on a larger scale. And I know that people might have mixed feelings about that, but I was actually doing some thinking around this. So with this subscription service, you'll be able to own your VinFast EV for a prolonged period of time, say 10 to 15 years, and if the battery capacity ever drops below 70%, you'll be able to replace it with the same one when your vehicle was purchased. It just gives you a bit more peace of mind. So I think the subscription service could make sense. And I know that VinFast is actually working out details that you could purchase the battery outright if that's what you want to do. But that's essentially the lowdown. And now we'll switch to an actual traditional review of the vehicle. So like I mentioned, VF8 entry-level midsize SUV. When you think about what's on the market right now, everyone loves to compare it to the Model Y, even the big hyped up Rivian, even though it is a pickup truck. If you look at the prices of those are 2, maybe even 3 times the cost. The exterior styling, honestly, I'm not gonna try to overhype it. It's a midsize SUV. It's all about the utility. You've got ample room in the back. You can easily fit 5. Link, little buddy, I miss you. Hopefully you see this, or mom shows you this vid. You'll be in the back of one hopefully soon. They've tried to make it decently sporty with good size alloys. I think that honestly makes the biggest difference, and you can grab it in different trim options. So the VF8 base or the VF8 Plus, which was my preferred spec. Obviously that one has the moonroof. It actually has a bit more power as well. That spec gives you 402 horsepower, 457 pound-foot of torque, 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, even though every launch I tested, I got around 6.5 to 7 seconds, which is a pretty big difference. But keep in mind, these are pre-production vehicles. A lot of that is software-based, so they can change that. And if anything, they need to remap the throttle response, because I found it very similar to, say, a gas car where it was a bit linear. Everyone loves EVs for that instantaneous torque, and even though we were in closed test circuits, I was pushing it pretty tough. I think the guy beside me kept telling me to slow down.
Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down.
I think I pushed it a bit harder than most people out here, but hey, had to have some fun, right? The overall driving experience, I found things to be pretty smooth. For most people that are looking to get this, it's within the city, you're driving on highways, you're not taking this thing off road. I do know that the VF9 actually will have air suspension. That's the model that I was eyeing. Combine that with the orange VF8 that was on display. I think that's a pretty money combo. The VF9 does have a few extra features like the trim or the flush door handles. Going on to the interior, this is where I love to criticize EV companies. They almost take a too minimal approach, too simplistic. Everything revolves around the display, which is decently sized, 15.6 inches. It was responsive, but I do think the UI could get a bit more intuitive. Once again, that's all based around software. Things like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Currently, they don't have them, but they are under approval. So, of course, once they receive that approval, they can officially announce that it is compatible. Wireless, of course. Once again, a couple different color options. I did see the black, there was gray interior, and the one that I kind of liked was the beige / off-white, literally that orange spec one. That's how I would choose mine. So yeah, that's kind of my very first thoughts around not only the VF8, VF9, the cars, but the company, VinFast itself. I think what will be so critical for them is how quickly they can roll out actual cars on the road. If they can bring that production to the US, if they can begin rolling out cars in North America faster than any other brand, I think they'll have a great head start. And as long as that battery subscription service, as long as it's transparent, as long as that process of swapping things out is really easy, and of course, if you give the option to people to buy them outright, I think it could be pretty cool to see what VinFast can do. Let me know if you've heard of VinFast. Let me know if you've seen some of their pop-up stores. I know in Toronto, for example, or in Canada, we actually have several floating around already in pretty big malls. I actually went to one of their launch events. So yeah, those are kind of my overall thoughts around the VF8, the VF9, and I guess as VinFast and Vingroup as a larger company altogether. I think as long as they're super transparent with the battery subscription service. I was actually before this trip in New York for Formula E. The amount of tech and knowledge that they're gaining in motorsports, that is all trickling down into regular EV cars. So I know the speed at which innovation is coming will be faster. Obviously, combustion engines are on their last limb. They're kind of dying out. So the speed on which we'll see changes is going to be so fast. So I do actually think the subscription service makes sense, and you honestly just have to give the customer the option to be able to buy it outright, which is what they're trying to figure out. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I'm trying to make it home right now. I'm on my last day here. I think I need to jump in the pool because I'm just burning up. Hottest video that I've created. I do hope that my flight home is not 47 hours like it was to get here. So I'll keep my fingers crossed, and I will see you guys back for one of my next vids, even though I'm heading to New York when I get back 2-3 days. I'm going to Europe the week after. Busy summer, but super fortunate that I get to call this my job and bring this content out to you guys. So thanks again. I will see you in one of my next vids. Peace.